your brain is a very habitual organ. It forms habits, and sometimes people learn that fight or flight, that on alert is the normal that they need to have. Never relax, never let your guard down.
Welcome to the Metamorphosis Project Podcast. I'm your host, Tenya Eickenberg, and this is a space where transformation begins. Welcome back to the Metamorphosis Project Podcast. I'm your host, Tenya Eickenberg, and today I have with me Tauna Young. Tauna, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Tanya. I'm excited to be here.
Now, you are let me bring this back up, a psychiatric nurse practitioner who specializes in anxiety and the nervous system. And one of the things that I always tell people is that because in my work, I also deal with anxiety and the nervous system and balancing it on an energetic level. And one of the things that came into my awareness very early on in my own healing journey is that no one ever really taught me about nervous system regulation or self-care in order to kind of be able to do that. Because there is so much involved in regulating our nervous system that it's really not fair to expect our parents who have never learned how to regulate their nervous systems to be able to teach their kids.
Correct. Yeah, your parents were only able to give you what they possess. And
Yeah.
they do their best, but if they didn't know it, they didn't have it, then they weren't able to pass it on to you or teach it to you.
Right. So I'm incredibly thankful for people like you who went to school and learned all of these different techniques to help regulate our nervous system.
Thank you. Yeah, I like the way that you started this out talking about anxiety and mental illnesses, your mental state in general as a physical experience. That's something that I think a lot of people miss.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I absolutely missed that in the beginning as well, because my mom was diagnosed bipolar when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, kind of in that range. Um, but prior to that, like she didn't know what was going on. And this
Yeah.
was back in the early 80s. So it was still very hush hush. Nobody really talked about this kind of stuff. And you grow up in an environment like that, you are always told that, your mental state, any mental illnesses that your family has it can be inherited, right? You have a 50-50 chance of getting whatever it is that your parents have. And I can remember the first time I went to the doctors to kind of figure out like what's going on. And this was after my oldest was born. And so I'm pretty sure that it was postpartum depression, probably anxiety because my hormones were, just a wackadoo. Um, but it was never explained that the exhaustion I might be feeling or the shoulder pain that I was feeling might be from the depression and the anxiety and how I was feeling on a mental level. It was just, here's a pill to help balance the chemicals in your system. While the chemicals are technically physical, that's not how we look at them.
Yeah, I really appreciate you mentioning that the shoulder pain can be very much an emotional pain because emotions are going to find a way to be expressed one way or the
Mm.
other.
Yeah.
And if they're not going to be expressed in the kind of the natural expected way, they're going to find another way to be expressed. And that's just the reality of it. And it can be expressed in things such as pain. Chronic stress and anxiety, we know that can lead to autoimmune diseases. It finds a way to be expressed one way or the other.
Yeah, and autoimmune diseases are really on the rise. One thing I always notice is when things are starting to be on the rise, they start to show up in TV shows.
Mhm.
And autoimmune diseases are showing up at rapid rates in the medical investigative TV shows
Yeah, good
that
point.
they weren't there before. And
Right.
so it's crazy. And the fact that, and I'm not poo-pooing on traditional medicine, but there are a lot of doctors who don't equate the autoimmune diseases to the trauma that our bodies have been through for the last 30, 40 years, because usually autoimmune diseases are not really diagnosed until later on in life because you've gone through the gamut of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, the traditional health model is to deal with the problem that's in front of you. And if the problem in front of me is an autoimmune disease, then that's what's going to be addressed, especially
Yeah.
since there's limited time, there's limited funds to
Yep.
treat the whole person.
Yeah.
And and I'm a prescriber, Tanya. I prescribe medications all day and I'm happy to do it. I'm not anti-medication. I'm not anti Western medicine,
Yeah.
traditional medicine. I'm pro options.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
pro expanding the toolkit.
Absolutely. And one of those tools is the cranial electrotherapy stimulation, or CES. And this is something that I had never heard of. It's so small. It's like the size of a phone.
Yeah, like the size of your cell phone.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, Tina. You said you've never heard of it, and neither had I. And that's the thing that struck me the most about it, Tina, is I'm a provider who wants to learn, who wants to be aware of all the options. I'm always trying to stay abreast of what's available. I had been practicing in mental health for 5.5 years. I've helped thousands of people with anxiety and insomnia, depression, all of the things that these treat. And I never knew about it. None of my patients knew about it. None of my colleagues knew about it after. I mean, I'd been in it for a long time. And so when I first learned about it, my first understandably, I think my first thought was like, well, I mean, how if it's that great, why would I not know about it? You
Right.
know, surely I would know
Right.
about it. And
Right.
then so I ordered 10 of them just to see. And those 10, when they arrived, like they didn't make it past just my staff and my family because they've tried it out and found it so impactful.
Hmm.
And so then, I ordered 10 more and those were gone before they even arrived. And then I was like, okay, so then I ordered 100 and now I get to see it because I'm a full-time practicing provider. I see 20, 25 people a day. So every day I get to see this right in front of me. People try it and you can just see the transformation, the exhale, like an actual physical exhale. The energy in the room goes into a calm place simply by putting the nervous system into a new state.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So I asked you before we came on, I told you that I am going to go and try neurofeedback. Um,
Yeah.
and my main reason for trying it is I've dealt with adrenal fatigue and just fatigue in general for many, many years. And so it was suggested to me to try the neurofeedback to try to repattern my brain and how it's reacting or doing things. Um, I don't completely understand it, but I'm very like, let me try anything. What is the difference between these two things? Because a lot of people hear about neurofeedback. And so I want to kind of show a difference between the two so that people don't get them confused.
Sure. So I think that they have some similarities, cranial electrotherapy stimulation and feedback. Both are aimed, the goal is to do a retraining,
Okay.
a retraining of a particular system. Biofeedback, it's neurofeedback is just a specific type of biofeedback. Um, with the feedback model, I don't know exactly what type of feedback you're speaking of, but with the feedback model, there's an awareness. It kind of teaches you at a conscious level to do something in a new way, in a different way. So I think that maybe is where the difference is. I think that they both do a retraining. With CES, it doesn't require the conscious learning,
Okay.
the thinking mind to
Okay.
learn a new thing, whereas biofeedback, like you will see some kind of a marker that shows you what you're actually doing and then learn to manage that thing, whatever it is, in a way that gets it into the zone that you're looking for. So it kind of
Okay.
requires the thinking mind to be involved.
Okay.
This doesn't require the thinking mind.
Okay.
But through continued use, it puts your brain into the same brain state as when you're meditating. And
Okay.
then with continued use, it retrains your brain to make that its new normal, make that the new default setting instead of
Right.
buzzing.
Right. Which is a lot like it takes that repetition. It's like when you're learning your times tables. If you consistently work on your times tables, you're eventually going to be able to recite them
Yeah.
automatically. It's not gonna take work to do. And when your body and your nervous system is in a state of survival for so long, that becomes normal.
Yeah.
And
Your
so by
brain.
adding, right, so by adding the CES, you can start to create new pathways of normal for your nervous system to be in.
Yeah. Your brain is a very habitual organ. It forms habits. And sometimes people learn that that fight or flight, that on alert is the normal that they need to have. Never relax, never let your guard down, always be in gas pedal mode. And that may have been adaptive in the particular circumstance in which that was learned. But then if it carries forward outside of that situation, it becomes maladaptive. And the brain body will essentially make that the new normal, make that the default setting. And if I'm kind of comparing it, like if I've got my phone right here and I've got it open, sorry, I could open it
Yeah.
to it or whatever. Okay.
Yep.
So, and I could have it, actively doing something. I got it on my notes or something. Okay. So if I go like this, right, it's still on, but it's resting.
Yeah.
Okay. So like that screensaver, the screensaver on your computer, that that resting state, the on but resting state, that ability of your brain to do that is essential for brain health, for your health in general. Everybody
Mhm.
needs that time to when your brain is in that resting state. It's when you daydream, you remember, you plan, you process, you think creatively. And we call that the default mode network, the processes in your brain that do that. And
Mhm.
what CES does is if we look at, what I did there on my screen, turning on the resting state is what CES does. It makes your brain better able to go into that state. It puts it there, and then by using it continually, you train it to make that its new normal, to be familiar with that space and know how to go there.
And I think that's important for people to understand is this helps you get into that resting state that we don't remember being in.
Yeah. Yeah. People who've been chronically anxious or chronic PTSD,
Yeah.
it's something that either they haven't known for a long time or they've never known it. I see, some complex PTSD a lot of times. These are people often who learned very, very young that you should never relax,
Hmm.
never let your guard down.
Yeah.
They've never known what it's like to actually experience the physical experience of calm and safety. Never allow yourself to feel safe. So when the first time that I put these on, people sometimes, you just put it on with these little ear clips. That's all. Just put it on.
They just go in your ears.
Yeah,
Okay.
you just clip them under your ears, and that's a strategic placement so that it goes right to the thalamus.
Okay.
The thalamus is the part of the body that regulates that emotional regulation, pain perception, sleep wake cycles, the fear response. So the first time that people put this on, especially with people with complex PTSD, it's a my voice kind of gets kind of a more reverent tone when I speak of it. Sometimes people will just weep. You
Oh, I'm
know,
sure.
it's the first time for some of
Yeah.
them that they've
Yeah.
ever experienced that. Now, for some people, it's just something that they haven't experienced for a while. And sometimes it's the thing that they have never experienced. And people need sometimes it's scary. So, because they've never been able to have that. And it's beautiful to see. And I get to see
It is,
it every
I
day.
say it's very scary for some people to experience calmness and joy or happiness for the first time because they're probably just in a state of it's going to be taken away,
Yeah, like they
right?
don't get to have that. That's something that
Yeah,
other people get to have, but
yeah,
I don't. They don't even know that, and it's not something that a person intellectually decides. It's something that their body had learned.
right, right. Yeah, they're in that tense state for so long. Like we said, it becomes normal, and when you're
Yeah.
able to bring that out and you feel this, um, I can equate it to when I started on my healing journey and I released a bunch of energies that were just kind of weighing me down. I woke up and I was just like in this euphoric state of like, I don't even know what this is. Like what
Hmm.
am I feeling? I had to muscle test to figure out what emotion it was that I was feeling at that time because I had never felt it before. So I couldn't really equate to what it was. And it was amazing. It was
Yeah.
so freeing to know that, oh my gosh, now I can figure out how to tap into this emotion on my own without thinking about it. And it was so freeing and empowering. And this little device that you're able to share with the world can do the same thing because
Yeah,
not
and
everybody
that's
has access to energy work or it's different,
Mhm.
everybody has different beliefs and what they want to do. And so having this device to help them reach that level of, I just have to say euphoria, because if you've never felt joy and calmness and peace on that level, it really does feel euphoric.
Oh, absolutely. I have seen people experience it as euphoria. Um, you know, I mentioned before that when I first ordered just a few of them, they came to my office and my staff opened them up and looked at it, and my practice manager put one on, he put it on his ears, and within like 30 seconds, he said, "Oh, I feel lighter in my chest."
Hmm.
And I didn't want to interfere with that. So I didn't say at the time what I was thinking. But about a week later, I talked to him about it and I said, I feel kind of bad. I didn't realize that you were walking around feeling heavy in your chest all the time when you're here. And he said, neither did I.
I was
I
just going to say, he probably didn't realize it either.
he says, I didn't realize it either until it was
Yeah.
gone. And that right there, coupled with the fact that people don't know about this. That is why I started Nirvana. Like I said, I'm a full-time practicing provider.
Right.
That keeps me busy. That's very fulfilling. I love what I do. But when I saw, oh my goodness, these work so well. How can something that works this well be so unknown? Where has the psychiatric
Yeah.
community
Why?
been? I don't know. So that's what that's Nirvana's mission. It's very simple. We have one product, this, and that's the mission. Just make this a accessible, well-known option for people with anxiety and insomnia. People with those things, they know, kind of have a good idea of what their options are. There's
Mhm.
counseling, there's
Right.
medications, there's meditation, there's prayer, there's nature walks, there's grounding exercises. Tanya, all of those are great. Those are wonderful. Energy work, massage, acupuncture, all the things. They're all great. This needs to be on the list.
It does. Yeah,
It needs
absolutely.
to be known about as something that works just as well, if not better, than many of those things.
Yeah.
That's the
Is
goal.
it readily available for people to just purchase, or do they have to have a prescription for it?
So you do have to have a prescription, but we've made the prescription process very easy
Oh,
because, like I
good.
said, that is the goal, is to make it accessible, well known. So if you go to our website, there's a process there that takes less than 5 minutes, little screening form for you to fill out, and we will prescribe it. It's an extra $20 is all. You can go to your whoever your
Hmm.
prescriber and they can prescribe it for you, and you can just upload that. There's a form that you can go on there and download the form, take that to your prescriber, have them fill it out. We will send it then, or we will prescribe it. One of our providers will just look at that little screening form we have you fill out and then prescribe it for you. So a person can do it all in just a few minutes.
Okay, so the next question I'm sure the listeners are going to have is it covered by insurance?
It is not covered by insurance,
Okay,
but it is FSA and HSA eligible
perfect.
because this is an FDA cleared medical device.
That's awesome.
So it's just like it's a medical device, just like any other medical device that people have, like oxygen tubing and
Yeah,
things like that. So those are only available through a prescription too, like things like oxygen tubing
right,
and
right.
things like
Yep.
that. But insurance doesn't pay for it, but they do pay for the medical care surrounding
Yes.
it. So
Yeah,
a lot of clinics,
yeah.
including my clinic, we have models where people can essentially borrow it or rent it, and they just see us for some follow-ups. And so we bill the insurance for the medical care and the monitoring of it, but not the device. So we've just come up with a lot of different ways for people to get it because, like I said, that's the goal. People need to know about it, and it needs to be accessible to as many people as possible.
Right, and that's the thing is you're promoting accessibility.
That is a
And
great way to put it.
yeah, you're promoting accessibility to this device because I think that is the one of the things that a lot of people feel is that they don't realize how much they have access to because it's just not out there.
Yeah, and it's not out there because even the experts don't know about it.
Right.
I considered myself very well informed. I love to learn. I like it. I like to know what options are out there. I'm always trying to stay up on that. And I didn't know about it until well into my practice. And none of my colleagues know about it either. So that's part of my mission, the Neurovana mission too, is to make providers more aware of it, get the word out and let them, you know how effective it is.
Yeah. How did it come into your awareness?
A patient
Oh,
mentioned it. I learn a lot from my
yeah.
patients. My patients will tell me different things that they're doing, and I'm like, oh, what's that? That's cool, and that's how I learn about a lot of the stuff that I learn. And one of them happened to mention it, and I did what I did. What's that? And I looked it up, and I looked up the research, and I was like, wow, I mean, the research is pretty impressive. So I looked into it more and continued to be impressed. And then I even looked it up, say, on like social media and stuff
Yeah.
where like real users are using it, and again was impressed with what I saw. And that's that what I mentioned earlier. It's like, well, why why would I not know about it if it
Right.
works well?
Yeah.
So I remained a little bit skeptical, but to see it, to for people to try it is to see that it works. And then for me, like I see it right in front of me
Right.
multiple times a day, every day. And I continue to be impressed, amazed, and also flabbergasted and a little ticked off that why isn't it more well known?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I
that's
can
the
resonate with that a
that's the
lot.
stuff in the morning. Yeah, I'll bet you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like why is all these things that so many people can see work are
Hmm.
not more well known? And
Yeah.
there's lots of theories behind it. We won't get into all of that
Yeah,
because
I know that you could go down a whole rabbit hole
but
there, right?
but it's it's for you to bring this up into people's awareness. It is part of your path, part of your mission, your passion in helping people is to say, this look at this device, look at what you can feel empowered to do for yourself. Because really what you're doing is, yeah, you're promoting this device that is going to help people to reduce their anxiety, change how they're sleeping, bring joy and happiness and peace back into their bodies. But what you're really doing is you're empowering them to take some control over their own mental health, because having that device in their hands and clipping those things onto their ears is giving them that power to say, I'm doing this for me, instead of outsourcing it to other people.
Yeah, I definitely respect the autonomy and the ownership that of other people's journey and their health. I'm just a partner in that. I'm not the driver.
Right.
And the nice thing about this is that you can do this at home. It's affordable enough that, you mentioned the neurofeedback, and I don't know what mechanism it is, but a lot of those things are things that you can only do in office
Mm-hmm.
and very expensive. This is something you can carry this around in your pocket. You
Right.
can take it anywhere. I have, child patients who take it with them to school. I have some kids with, autism that sometimes get very overstimulated and get kind of have, some outbursts at
Yeah.
school. And, children who previously were not making it through a full day of school, they would need to be sent home, are now able, they can just take this out. It's so simple to use that a child can use it, and it's so safe that they can just take this out, put that on, calm down, and now are able to stay all day at school. I mean, the ripple effects of having a more regulated, calm nervous system, you really can't quantify that. And how can you even quantify the effects of a child who previously was rarely able to make it through a full day of school, who is now rarely unable to make
Yeah.
it through a full day of school? The effects on not just their education, but their self-esteem and their confidence, and the peace and harmony in the family as a whole. The ripple effects of really every effective mental health tool, but especially this one because it's so underutilized, it really just can't be quantified.
Yeah. I mean, to be able to give your child that um environment that they can at school just be like, hey, teacher, I need to go, you know, I need to go to the office for 5 or 10 minutes. Is that about how long, like about how long does somebody wear it? Does it, I mean, sure it varies based on the severity of their anxiety and stuff, but on average, like how long can it take to bring that into more into balance?
So
For what, just to get you through the day.
yeah, so there are some people who put it on and instantly, like almost instantly, they will feel that exhale.
Hmm.
Some people feel like they have to use it a few times before they see the benefits. I'd say that most people, the majority of people, do feel it right away. Now it has settings that it can go off automatically after 30 minutes or 45 minutes, or you can leave it on continuously. I'd say a large majority of the studies that have been done with CES involved 20-minute sessions. A
Okay.
lot of them involved 60 minutes or, and everything in between.
Right.
But the thing is you can't overdose on this.
You're right.
You can
Right.
leave it on 24/7
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
want to, and I mean, I spoke with a doctor when I was first looking at these, and he says that sometimes he'll put it on at night and he'll just set it on to stay on continuous, and he'll just sleep with it because he liked the
Yeah.
benefits that he got from that. And that's the nice thing about it is the safety profile. Like I said, you can give this to a kid and
Hmm.
tell them,
Right. Because
that
it's
they
just,
can use it when they want.
I imagine it's a lot like just a vibration that you're feeling on your
Yeah.
ears, or you don't feel anything at all, or is it just like a vibration?
You can decide whether or not you want to feel it because it has different intensity, like an
Okay.
intensity knob,
Okay.
and the benefits are the same. Some people like the way it feels and they like to crank it up. Okay, great. And some people prefer to set it just below sensation. The benefits are the same. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
And it's not painful. It's just a little kind of a tingling.
Right. I would guess it might be kind of like a ten, like feeling like a tens unit, like when
I
you
think it's
first,
probably a similar sensation to
yeah,
that.
just kind
But
of like a
this is
little buzzing or not, yeah, just a little,
Yeah, yeah, a little tiny little vibration thing. And the
Yeah.
fact that, we're targeting a specific area of the vagus nerve, so its placement on the ears is strategically important
Hmm.
because then it goes to most of the current goes to the thalamus, and the
Okay.
thalamus is kind of the central relay station for all of the
Mhm.
sensory information that comes up through the body. And you could call it the interpreter in the room that
Okay.
interprets those signals.
Okay.
And so by targeting that and giving that the currency or the frequency of
Hmm.
calm, then it changes the way that it interprets those signals. And because we talked about that, like sometimes there's a miscalibration
Right.
between the way that your body is responding in a situation to like what is actually happening and what is the appropriate way to interpret that. And so having a reset for that
Hmm.
is what this does. Gives that nervous system a reset, like, hey, let's train your body to be calm
Right.
when it is in fact safe.
I like that, going from a miscalibration to being more calibrated.
Yeah, that's
That's
exactly what it does for people.
Yeah, I absolutely I love it. And there are so many people who can benefit from this. So I hope that this continues to grow in popularity, because I think having something that people can take with them
Yeah. Yeah.
wherever they go, and being able to turn down the intensity, because if someone has high anxiety, they may not particularly enjoy the vibration, but they can turn that vibration down and still get the benefits of it. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, they're feeling kind of it'll work for them too. It's not something that you have to like suffer through if you don't
No,
want to.
yeah.
Yeah,
Some people like it and some people prefer to not feel it or they prefer to only feel it a little bit.
yeah.
That's great. I like you can't hurt yourself with it. And I'm wearing earrings right now. If I was going to put it on, I don't even take off my earrings. I would just go behind or in front, and it doesn't even matter if I turn it this way or that way. It
Right.
doesn't matter. It's so simple to use. Anyone can use it. You can use it anywhere. It's so discreet. It just looks like I'm using headphones.
Listening, right. You're listening to
Yeah.
your phone or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And if you were wanting to use it in an environment where, like music or headphones aren't allowed, well, this is a medical device
Yeah.
that you are prescribed for a medical condition. And so, your employer or your school or whatever, I've written letters to school before and just said, hey, so and so has anxiety, a condition that I've diagnosed them with. Please allow them to use this in situations where they need it, et cetera, et cetera. And there you go.
Yeah.
Done.
I love it. As we start to bring this conversation to a close, first of all, where can people find you if they want to be prescribed a device through you?
Go to www.neurovanacalm.com. So Neurovanacalm, neurovanacalm.com. And you can go on there, you can get it prescribed there. Just takes a few minutes. You can also download my ebook for free on there for people who like to do a deeper dive into the science, like to geek out like I do. That's there. I had a great time. Like it's an ebook, about a 150-page ebook that gives a lot of information, and you can look up different parts about it, about the research and the different conditions. Um, and that's really a great way to find it.
Awesome. And is there anything that we didn't touch on that you would like the listeners to hear about or to know before we sign off?
Well, for starters, I'd like for them to know that I'll give a discount for your audience specifically.
Awesome.
If just when they type in the discount code Tenya 20, so
Nice. Thank you.
Tenya 20,
Awesome.
then I'll do the prescription for free. They'll
That's
save them
awesome.
$20 off the prescription. So they can literally get it all in one stop. They don't have to go if they want to go to their prescriber, go for it. I don't want to get in the way, but they can just go on there and not have to pay that extra $20. I'll do that for them for free.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you coming on. And you guys, if this is something that interests you, go to her website, use the code, try it. You don't have anything to lose. Whenever we do something that does not include ingesting something and changing our biology, I say you have nothing to lose.
Well, especially like you can return it within 30 days,
Well,
you
there
know.
you go. There you
I
go.
don't get many returns.
Right. I'm
I
sure you
really
don't.
don't. I
I'm sure
don't
you don't.
because yeah, people are surprised at how impactful it is. And in the rare case that someone doesn't find it helpful, they still don't return it. You know why? Because their son liked it
Yeah.
or their spouse liked it
Right.
or their
Yeah.
sister found it useful. You know,
Yeah.
if you don't find it useful, which is rare, there's one of your people does. And so it's extremely rare that I get it returned.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Tauna, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Tanya. I had a great time.
Let's see if I can find these buttons. Thank you so much for joining us on the Metamorphosis Project podcast. I hope today's episode brought you inspiration, joy, and a spark of empowerment. Remember, transformation is an incredible journey, and every single step you take towards self-care and healing brings you closer to the life you truly desire. If this episode uplifted you, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us to share this journey of hope, resilience, and joy with many listeners. For more tips, support, and inspiration, come and visit us at designyourexistence.com. Until next time, keep growing, keep healing, and keep shining brightly. You are absolutely worth every bit of love and care you give to yourself. Take care, stay joyful, and be well.